The book of Jubilees, chapter 12. Abram destroys the idols of his father Terah, who kept and worshipped the idols. I'm going to start off with Leviticus 26, verse 1. Ye shall make you no idols, nor graven images, neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall you set up any image of stone in your land, to bow down unto it, for I am Yahuwah, your Eloah, your God. The book of Jubilees, chapter 12, verse 1 through 13. And it came to pass in the 6th week in the 7th year thereof, 1904 a.m., that Abram said to Terah his father, saying, Father! And he said, Behold, here am I, my son. And he said, What help and profit have we for those idols which thou dost worship, and before which thou dost bow thyself? For there is no spirit in them, for they are dumb forms, and a misleading of heart. Worship them not. Worship the Elohim Yahuwah of heaven, who causes the rain and the dew to descend on the earth, and does everything upon the earth, and has created everything by his word, and all life is from before his face. Why do you worship things that has no spirit in them? For they are the work of men's hands, and on your shoulders do ye bear them, and ye have no help from them. But they are a great cause of shame to those who make them, and a misleading of the heart to those who worship them. Worship them not. And Abram's father Terah said unto him, I also know it, my son, but what shall I do with a people who have made me to serve before them? And if I tell them the truth, they will slay me, for their soul cleaves to them to worship them and labor them. Keep silent, my son, lest they slay you. And these words he spake to his sons, his two brothers, and they were angry with him, and he kept silent. And in the 40th Jubilee, in the 2nd week, in the 7th year thereof, 1925 a.m., Abram took unto himself a wife, and her name was Sarai, the daughter of his father, and she became his wife. And Aaron his brother took to himself a wife in the 3rd year of the 3rd week, 1928 a.m., and she bare him a son in the 7th year of this week, 1932 a.m., and he called his name Lot. And Nahor his brother took to himself a wife, and in the 60th year of the life of Abram, that is, in the 4th week, in the 4th year thereof, 1936 a.m., Abram arose by night and burned the house of the idols, and he burned all that was in the house, and no man knew it. And they arose in the night and sought to save their gods from the midst of the fire. And Aaron hasted to save them, but the fire flamed over him, and he was burnt in the fire. And he died in Ur of the Chaldees before Terah his father, and they buried him in Ur of the Chaldees. And the precept witnessed to the detail, book of Asher, chapter 11. So we're going to get into the book of Asher, chapter 11, verse 6 to 60. This actually tells what happened. One says that Aaron tried to retrieve the idols and was burned. And it says that Nimrod called for both Aaron and Abraham to be thrown into the fiery furnace. So we're going to get into the chapter 11, verse 6 to 60 of the book of Asher. And Nimrod dwelt in Babel, and he there renewed his reign over the rest of his subjects, and he reigned securely, and the subjects and princes of Nimrod called his name Amraphel, saying that at the tower his princes and men fell through his means. And notwithstanding this, Nimrod did not return to Yahuwah, and he continued in wickedness, and teaching wickedness to the sons of men. And Mardon his son was worse than his father, and continued to add to the abominations of his father. And he caused the sons of men to sin. Therefore it is said, From the wicked goeth forth wickedness. And at that time there was a war between the families of the children of Ham, as they were dwelling in the cities which they had built. And the Shadalamir, king of Elam, went away from the families of the children of Ham, and he fought with them, and he subdued them. And he went to the 5 cities of the plain, and he fought against them, and he subdued them, and they were under his control. And they served him 12 years, and they gave him a yearly tax. And at that time Nahor, son of Serug, in the 49th year of his life of Abram, son of Terah, and in the 50th year of the life of Abram, son of Terah, Abram came forth from the house of Noah, and went to his father's house, Terah's house. And Abram knew Yahuwah, and he went in his ways and instructions, and Yahuwah his Eloah, his God, was with him. And Terah his father was in those days still captain of the host of King Nimrod, and he still followed strange gods. And Abram came to his father's house, and saw 12 gods standing there in the temple. And the anger of Abram was kindled when he saw these images in his father's house. And Abram said, As Yahuwah liveth, these images shall not remain in my father's house. So shall Yahuwah who created me do unto me, if in 3 days' time I do not break them. And Abram went from them, and his anger burned within him. And Abram hastened and went from the chamber to his father's outer court. And he found his father sitting in the court, and all his servants with him. And Abram came and sat before him. And Abram asked his father Terah, saying, Father, tell me, where is Elohim Yahuwah, who created heaven and earth, and all the sons of men upon earth? And who created thee and me? And Terah answered his son Abram and said, Behold, those who created us are with us in the house. And Abram said to his father, My Lord, show them to me, and I pray thee. And Terah brought Abram into the chamber of the inner court. And Abram saw, and behold, the whole room was full of gods of wood and stone, 12 great images, and other less than they, without number. And Terah said to his son, Behold, these are they which made all thou seest upon the earth, and which created me and thee and all mankind. And Terah bowed down to his gods, and he then went away from them. And Abram his son went away with him. And when Abram had gone from them, he went to his mother and sat before her. And he said to his mother, Behold, my father has shown me those who made heaven and earth, and all the sons of men. Now therefore hasten and fetch a kid from the flock, and make of it savory meat, that I may bring it into my father's gods as an offering for them to eat. Perhaps I may therefore become acceptable to them. And his mother did so, and she fetched a kid, and made savory meat therefore, and brought it to Abram. And Abram took the savory meat from his mother, and brought it before his father's gods. And he drew nigh to them, that they might eat. And Terah his father did not know of it. And Abram saw on that day, when he was sitting amongst them, the idols, that they had no voice, no hearing, no motion, and not one of them could stretch forth his hand to eat. And Abram mocked them, and said, Surely the savory meat that I prepared has not pleased them, or perhaps it was too little for them, and for this reason they would not eat. Therefore tomorrow I will prepare fresh savory meat, better and more plentiful than this, in order that I may see the results. And it was on the next day that Abram directed his mother concerning the savory meat. And his mother rose and fetched 3 fine kids from the flock, and she made of them some excellent savory meat, such as her son was fond of, and she gave it to her son Abram. And Terah his father did not know of it. And Abram took the savory meat from his mother, and brought it before his father's God into the chambers. And he came nigh unto them, and they might eat. And he placed it before them, and Abram sat before them all day, thinking perhaps they might eat. And Abram viewed them, and behold, they had neither voice nor hearing, nor did any of them stretch forth his hand to eat the meat. And in the evening of the day in the house, Abram was clothed with the spirit of Eloah. And he called out and said, Woe unto my father and this wicked generation, whose hearts are all inclined to vanity, who serve these idols of wood and stone, which can neither eat, smell, nor hear, or speak, who have mouths without speech, eyes without sight, ears without hearing, hands without feeling, and legs and that cannot move, like them or those that made them, and that trust in them. And when Abram saw all these things, his anger was kindled against his father, and he hastened and took a hatchet in his hand. And he came into the chamber of the gods, and he broke all his father's gods. And when he had done breaking the image, he placed the hatchet in the hand of the greatest god, which was there before them. And he went out. And Terah his father came in the house for he had heard at the door the sound of the striking of the hatchet. So Terah came into the house to know what this was about. And Terah, having heard the noise of the hatchet in the room of the images, ran to the room to the images, and he met Abram going out. And Terah entered the room and found all the idols fallen down and broken, and the hatchet in his hand of the largest one which was not broken, and the savory meat which Abram his son had made was still before them. And when Terah saw this, and he was angry and greatly kindled, and he hastened and went from the room to Abram. And he found Abram his son still sitting in the house, and he said to him, What is this work thou hast done to my gods? And Abram answered Terah his father and said, Not so, my lord, for I brought savory meat before them, and when I came nigh to them with the meat, that they might eat, they all at once stretched forth their hands to eat before the great one had put forth his hands to eat. And the large one saw their works that they did before him, and his anger was violently kindled. And against them he went and took the hatchet that was in the house, and came to them and broke them all. And behold, the hatchet is yet in his hand, as thou seest. And Terah's anger was very kindled against his son Abram. And he spoke to this. And Terah said to Abram his son in anger, What is this tale that thou hast told? Thou speakest lies to me. In this is there these God's spirit souls or power to do all thou hast told me? Or are they not wood and stone? And have I not myself made them? And canst thou speak such lies, saying that the Lord God that was with them smote them? It is thou that placed the hatchet in his hand. And then says he smote them all. And Abram answered his father and said to him, And how canst thou then serve these idols in whom there is no power to do anything? Can those idols in which thou trusted deliver thee? Can they hear the prayer when thou callest upon them? Can they deliver thee from the hands of the enemies? Or will they fight thy battles for thee against thy enemies? That thou shouldest serve wood and stone, which can neither speak nor hear? And now surely it is not good for thee, nor for the sons of men that are connected with thee, to do these things. Or are you so silly, so foolish, or so short of understanding that you will serve wood and stone, and do after this manner? And forget Yahuwah, your Eloah, your God, who made heaven and the earth, and who created you in the earth, and thereby bring a great evil upon your souls in this matter by serving stone and wood? Did not our fathers in the days of old sin in this matter? And Yahuwah, our Eloah of the universe, brought the waters of the flood upon them and destroyed the whole earth? And how can you continue to do this and serve gods of wood and stone, who cannot hear or speak or deliver you from oppression, thereby bringing down the anger of Elohim Yahuwah of the universe upon you? Now, therefore, my father, refrain from this, and bring not evil upon thy soul and the souls of thy household. And Abram hastened and sprang from before his father, and took the hatchet from his father's largest idol, with which Abram broke it, and ran away. And Terah, seeing all that Abram had done, hastened to go from his house, and went to the king. And he came before Nimrod, and stood before him. And he bowed down to the king, and said to the king, what thou hast won. Now Terah the father wants and will go against his son Abram, delivering him over to Nimrod, which is in this case a form of Satan. And Terah said, I beseech thee, my lord, talking to King Nimrod, to hear me. Now 50 years back a child was born to me. Thus had he done to my gods, thus has he spoken. And now therefore, my lord and king, send for him, that may come before thee, and judge him according to the law, that may be delivered from his evil. And the king sent 3 men of his servant, and they went and brought Abram before the king. And Nimrod and his princes and servants were that day sitting before him, and Terah sat also before them. And the king said to Abram, What is this thou hast done to thy father and to his gods? And Abram answered the king in the words that he spoke to his father. And he said, The Lord God that was in with them in the house did this to them, what thou hast heard. And the king said to Abram, Have they power to speak and eat and do as thou hast said? And Abram answered the king, saying, And if there be no power in them, why dost thou serve them, and cause the sons of men to err, through thy follies. Dost thou imagine that they can deliver thee or do anything small or great, that thou shouldst serve them? And why wilt thou sense the Eloah Yahuwah of the whole universe, who created thee, and in whose power it is to kill and keep alive? O foolish, simple, and ignorant king, woe unto thee forever. I thought thou wouldst teach thy servants the upright way, but thou hast not done this, and hast filled the whole earth with thy sins, and the sins of thy people who have followed your ways. Dost thou not know, and hast not thou heard, that this evil which thou doest, our ancestors sinned therein in the days of old, and the eternal Eloah brought the waters of the flood upon them, and destroyed them all, and also destroyed the whole earth on their account? And wilt thou thy people rise up now and do like unto this works, in order to bring down the anger of Yahuwah our Eloah of the universe, and bring to evil upon thee and the whole earth? Now therefore put away this evil deed which thou doest, and serve your Eloah Yahuwah of the universe, as thy soul is in his hands, and then it will be well with thee. And if thy wicked heart will not hearken to my words, to cause thee to forsake thy evil ways, and to serve the eternal Eloah Yahuwah, then wilt thou die in shame in the latter days, and thou thy people, and all who are connected with thee, hearing thy words, or walking in thy evil ways. And when Abram had ceased speaking before the king and princes, Abram lifted up his eyes to the heavens, and he said, Yahuwah seat all thy wicked, and he will judge them. Now continuing back to the book of Jubilees, chapter 12, verse 14 through 31. So as you just read, we read in detail what happened when Abram had knocked down all the idols in his father's Terah house, and then went to Nimrod, which Nimrod was condoning all this for those people to serve those idols and not doing anything about it. So continue back to the book of Jubilees, chapter 12, verse 14 through 31. And Terah went forth from of the Chaldees, and he and his sons to go into the land of Lebanon, into the land of Canaan, and he dwelt in the land of Haran. And Abram dwelt in Terah his father, in Haran 2 weeks of years. And in the 6th week, in the 5th year thereof, 1951 a.m., Abram set up throughout the night, on the new moon, on the 7th month, to observe the stars from the evening to the morning, in order to see what would be the character of that year with regard to the rains. And he was alone as he sat and observed. And a word came into his heart, and he said, all the signs of the stars, and the signs of the moon, and of the sun, are all in the hand of Yahuwah. Why do you search them out? And if he desires, he causes it to rain morning and evening. And if he desires, he withholds it. And all things are in the hands. And he prayed that night and said, my God, my most high God, thou alone art my Eloah, and thee and thy dominion have I chosen, and thou hast created all things. And all things that are the work of thy hands. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits, who have dominion over the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my Eloah Yahuwah, and establish thou me and my seed forever, that we go not astray from henceforth and forevermore. And he said, shall I return into of the Chaldees, who seek my face, that I may return to them? Am I to remain here in this place? The right path before thee prosper in its hands of thy servant, that he may fulfill it, and that I may not walk in the deceitfulness of my heart, O my Eloah Yahuwah, my God. And he made an end of speaking and praying, and behold, the word of Elohim Yahuwah was sent to him through me, saying, get thee up from thy country, and from thy kindred, and from the house of thy father, into a land which I will show thee, and I will make thee a great and numerous nation. And I will bless thee, and I will make thy name great, and thou shalt be blessed in the earth, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee. And I will be your Eloah, your God, to thee and thy son, and to thy son's son, and to all thy seed. Fear not, for henceforth and into all generations of the earth I am thy Eloah, your God. I am Yahuwah, and your Eloah, open his mouth and his ears, that he may hear, and speak with his mouth with the language which has been revealed, for it has been ceased from the mouth of all the children of men from the day of the overflow of Babel. And I opened his mouth and his ears and his lips, and I began to speak with him in Hebrew, in the tongue of creation. And he took the books of his fathers, and these were written in Hebrew, and he transcribed them, and he began from henceforth to study them. And I made known to him that which he could not understand, and he studied them during the 6 rainy months. And it came to pass in the 7th year of the 6th week, 19:53 a.m., that he spoke to his father, and informed him that he would leave Aaron to go into the land of Canaan to seek it and return to him. And Terah his father said unto him, Go in peace, may the eternal Eloah make thy path straight, and Yahuwah be with thee, and protect thee from all evil, and grant unto thee grace, mercy, and favor before those who see thee, and may none of the children of men have power over thee to harm thee. Go in peace, and if thou seest a land pleasant to thy eyes to dwell in, then arise and take me to thee, and take Lot with thee, thy son of Aaron, thy brother, as thy own son. And Yahuwah be with thee, and Nahor thy brother leave with me, till thou returnest in peace, and we go with thee all together. And that's the end of the book of Jubilees, chapter 12, with the precept of the book of Asher, chapter 11, that goes into detail of Abram mocking his father's Torah idols and burning them down, or breaking them, or casting them down.